Hi, Desiree. Hi, Savannah.
Hi, Joel.
Hello.
Hi, Andrew.
Hey, Joel.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Hey, Terry.
Yes.
Hi, sorry about the craziness. I could barely get on. Something with the Zoom setup from, I think, the HPO office. So. But I made it. So
Good
do
to
we
see
have everyone here? That's right.
Looks like we have all the commissioners here, so we have a quorum, and I see applicants. Yes. We certainly have enough applicants to get started.
Okay, we have them from C&D. Yeah, because that's how we're going to take it, right? Yeah. So, okay.
Yes.
So, all right. So you've started the recording. So I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Tucson-Pima County Historical Commission Plans Review Subcommittee meeting of Thursday, August 28th, 2025, called to order at 1:01 p.m. In lieu of roll call, I will do roll. Terry Majewski is here. Savannah McDonald,
Here.
Joel Ireland,
Here.
and Andrew Christopher.
Here.
Okay, before I begin, I just want to mention to everyone that because of quorum requirements and a recusal that needs to take place and one commissioner schedule, we are going to move items 4C and 4D first before we, right after we get through items 2 and 3. So Savannah, when you need to recuse, just let me know the time, and then we need you to come back though after case 4D, correct? Yeah, and then we'll do A and B. And you're able to do that, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, and I'm pretty sure I have your cell phone, but you might put it in the chat, so I definitely have it, so I can tell you when to come back on. So, okay, item 2 is review and approval of the 8/12/2025 legal action report. We will not be doing 8/14 at this time, correct, Desiree?
That's correct, yes.
So if I could have a motion to approve as submitted for the 8/12/2025 PRS LAR, I would appreciate that.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll take Savannah. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, I'll call roll. Terry says aye. Savannah,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
Joel.
Aye.
Great, thank you. So it passes, is approved unanimously 4-0. Item 3 is summary of public comments. This is information only. Desiree, did we receive any comments by the posted deadline?
No, we don't have any new comments for this meeting in particular. I will say for the item Santa Rita Park on 4D, we had received the previous comments that you've seen before from the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation, and Damien Klinko, the executive director, is present. So he may have some comments if you wish to take them during that item.
Okay, and when we get to that item, I'm going to have you mention the State Historic Preservation Office decision on the reclassification, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll provide background on that item.
Okay, perfect. All right. So anyway, I think we said we would start with 4D, correct? Is that what we did? And then Savannah could hear that and then leave because she has to recuse for 4C. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go ahead with item 4D, which is TDDEV 1223-00473/TC-COM-0724-01365 at 401 East 22nd Street for the Santa Rita Pool and Bathhouse update. It's a no action item. The parcel numbers I won't mention, it's on the agenda. It's an individually eligible property, and we will be discussing this as a no action item for an update. And so would you go ahead and provide us some background, please?
Yes. Thank you, Chair Majewski. So this item has come before you 2 other times. So this is an update. We also have 2 members of the Parks and Recreation Department. So this is a parks project. They're getting ready to start updates to Santa Rita Park. The pool and the bathhouse are located on that park. So the project overall consists of various updates, including a new splash pad, a playground, plaza area, multi-use paths, comfort station, fields, and public art. The project would include the demolition of the Santa Rita pool and bathhouse. So I'll provide a brief timeline just to recap, and if I'm missing anything, Parks and Rec staff can fill in, and they'll share kind of where the project is now and moving forward. And essentially, this project started in the planning processes in 2021 and 2022. Mayor and council adopted a master plan for the park in 2022. Construction documents were prepared from 2023 to 2024. And in 2025, the construction contract was awarded. In April of 2025, we received communications from the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation expressing concern over the historic significance of the bathhouse. And our office worked with Parks and Recreation to kind of pause the planned demolition, take a look at the potential historic significance of the bathhouse. And at that time, Parks commissioned a study or did an evaluation of eligibility that was prepared. That evaluation determined that the site was ineligible for listing on the National Register. The item came before this committee in May. It also went to the Historic Landscape Subcommittee in May. We received feedback on that initial eligibility evaluation and sent it back to the consultant asking for additional research and a reconsideration of the eligibility based on additional information. Some information was also provided by the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation in our office. The consultant's report still found that the bathhouse and pool were ineligible for listing in the National Register. So that was in June. At that time, the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation reached out to the State Historic Preservation Office for a separate evaluation of eligibility. And this is something the state office will often do upon request, and they provided feedback. Their determination of eligibility found that the pool and the bathhouse combined was individually eligible for listing under criterion A in the category of recreation as the city's first municipal pool. And so that memo was, or that recommendation of eligibility was provided in your materials and posted online for this meeting. So since then, this question, of what to do with the pool, how to move forward, has gone to the Parks and Recreation Department. So I'll let them talk about that, but it has gone up to the city manager's office and consideration, and the path that the chosen path is still to move forward with demolishing the building. So wanted to provide this update and allow an opportunity for you all to discuss this, but I will turn it over to Parks and Recreation staff. The last meeting that we had at PRS, we were talking about mitigation measures and interpretive plans, and the idea is still that this body, PRS, as well as Historic Landscapes, and any members of the public, including the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation, can if they so wish, participate in the development of that interpretive material. So that's the background. I'll hand it over to Jasmine and/or Matt.
Okay, thank you. Before folks begin, could I ask everyone who is not with the Historic Preservation Office, who's a presenter, even if you're from some other part of the city, to put in the chat your full names and your affiliation, in which case you're associated with, because we've been having trouble with people on the Zoom who don't provide that information or only have a rectangle with some other name that isn't theirs. So it's been very helpful to obtain an accurate record by having people put items in the chat like that. Thank you. And we will have to, because we have to complete case 4C before 1:45, both 4C and 4D. If I have to cut off the discussion of 4D in time to hear 4C, then we'll have to continue this update and further discussion. So Go ahead, Jasmine and Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Juski and members of the Plans Review Subcommittee. So, to add to what Desiree has shared, we have discussed within our department, the Parks and Recreation Department, kind of with the perspectives provided by Historic Preservation Office, kind of understanding the historical significance and the importance of the pool and the bathhouse, and also as Parks and Recreation balancing with that our role in providing for recreational opportunities that the communities that we serve are asking for today, and received direction from City Manager's office to proceed with demolition. I do want to share that we have a couple of updates on topics that were discussed at previous PRS meetings. So the first is that the picnic table and benches that have been called out in the past, the contractor was able to save those, so they were able to lift the whole, like the picnic tables, the benches, and the concrete slab that they are on, lift that out of the ground in its entirety. And then we have those set aside for placement later along the walking path once we get to that point of the project. The public art component to this parks project includes development of benches and mosaic, and then also they are collecting oral histories, and those will be made available for people who are visiting the park to be able to listen to hear kind of stories of Santa Rita Park from our own community. And the third item is that we will be working on an interpretive panel that will go along the walking path in the area that the pool and bathhouse once existed, to show images of kind of what that looked like before, and also be able to provide a narrative that covers the kind of social significance and the architectural history that the pool and bathhouse have.
Okay, does Matt have anything to add to that?
I do not have anything else to add to it.
Okay, I note that Christina Swallow is in attendance. Christina, do you have anything you would like to add?
Sorry, it took me a minute to come off of mute. And no, I'm observing and listening and just here for the discussion.
Okay, thank you. PRS members, who would like to begin with comments?
Can start, I suppose.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know. I just find this really disappointing. And astounding lack of creativity to save such a small building that could be worked around. I think this sets a really bad precedent for how the city treats its historic resources. I know that, the design firms that you've paid for this plan, it'd probably be a change order and you'd have to pay them additional money to revise something. But man, it's like this seems to keep happening with parks projects. I remember kind of a similar thing played out with the zoo in Barnum Hill, and there was this plan that was cooked. And then once there was actual feedback about the ramifications of it and the loss of, historic resources that are important to people, it was too late to take them into consideration. And I think that's a shame. I'd like to ask a question. Could I possibly share my screen, Terry?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you need to give him permission, Desiree? Is it blocking you,
Okay.
Andrew?
You should be able to share now.
Oh, you might have to do it for both my accounts.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the final master plan, right? The only thing that's
Mhm.
going in this area, presumably, is these little fields, like youth soccer fields. Why can't we just shift the field? I don't understand why this little building is like such a imposition on just a big open grass area with flexible fields. Can you guys explain to me why this doesn't work? Anyone from Parks?
Yeah, Matt, would you be able to chime in here?
So the way that the field is laid out, there's I understand what you're saying about shifting the fields. The way that they're laid out, like yes, there are smaller fields that can be going north to south. It's the east-west fields as well for the bigger fields. It's also the footprint of the building encroaches on the pathway as well, like in that general area. So it's depends on which area the for different sports, I guess. It's not just soccer fields, it's for any multi-purpose or multi-sport area for that to be laid out for that. So
Yeah, I really don't understand. This is generally the footprint of that building right here. I just don't see how that's in the way of anything. The walking path is out here. The, I mean, yeah, I don't know. If anyone else has comments, I'll let them go. I'm very frustrated by this.
Okay, Demian, yes, go ahead. Demian, you're on mute.
Thank you very
There
much,
you go.
Terry. I just wanted to provide a little bit of context and background from the perspective of the Preservation Foundation. In 2021, that we were requested to participate in online surveys, which we participated in. We also participated in a meeting, and we specifically brought to the attention the issue of this building and this historic resource. And we were assured at that time that the city process would be followed. And the city has a published policy, which is their administrative directive related to the protection of archaeological and historical resources, 1-07-07. The city holds itself to a high standard when it comes to historic resources. Additionally, I think it's really worth noting that the funding utilized to fund this project is from the Parks Bond, which not only promoted at the time the recreational assets, but also this idea of protecting our city historic assets. So the fact that bond funds that were approved by the voters specifically with the intent around historic preservation are being used to demolish something historic is really concerning. So when again, we generally don't get involved, as you know, with plans review unless something seems to have gone really awry. 98% of cases we don't comment on. But when we we assumed that the process was occurring, that it would come to the Historical Commission, that there would be consideration for how to resolve either the mitigation or the adaptive reuse of the little building. We always felt that the adaptive reuse of the building was sort of the opportunity area that the pool had really had no use, and that it really couldn't probably be saved, and that the building really could its preservation would allow for interpretation because of the important social history that the building clearly retains sufficient integrity to convey. So we didn't get involved. We were really surprised when we saw a published plan in the paper of the project. That was sort of the next iteration, and that the pool house and all of that was just gone from the plan. So we reached out, as Desiree noted, to the Preservation Office asking for additional details, and then it became clear that actually the process hadn't been that the city's administrative directive hadn't been followed, which was a real concern. And so everything has been sort of this retroactive sort of discussion. you know, again, I want to acknowledge that Desiree's role as the City Preservation Office has really provided like sort of new insight into how to structure and manage some of these issues, because as we know, there have been significant issues that probably continue from COVID in terms of compliance and following the regulatory framework that the city lays out. So we reviewed the first report from the consultant, and we were really surprised to see that there was a recommendation of not eligible for listing, because common sense and just looking at the building, it retains sufficient integrity. I mean, it's clear it has this important social history. So we were really surprised, and then when the report was revised and still the same finding, we just felt that it was really genuinely absurd. So we reached out to the State Historic Preservation Office. We asked them to review the city's report, and they disagreed with the findings and found that the building was eligible, which really sort of put into context, you know, this idea, or calls into question this idea of like what's actually being presented to the commission and to plans review. If a report is flawed and it's being presented, I mean, it really raises some significant concerns about how that report is being crafted, who's crafting that report, and the recommendations. So, you know, I would really ask, you know, that the commission take a hard stand on this. This just seems to happen over and over and over again. It's like it seems to be continual in different departments and different places in the city that we have this regulatory framework, and it doesn't get followed. And then our organization, we're put in a very uncomfortable position of sort of having to be this monitor. And we identify when we get emails or calls from the community that there's a problem. All of a sudden, we're at the forefront, sort of bringing it forward, and we're sort of the bad guy for all of a sudden throwing a wrench into projects when these issues should have been taken care of at the forefront. This building should have been surveyed. The historic significance of it should have been identified, and it should have been included in the plan. And none of those things did not happen. And so today, here we are, you know, and the commission is put in an uncomfortable and awkward situation of having to, you know, provide a recommendation. And you have a regulatory role inside of the city administrative directive of providing oversight and recommendation. So it's a concern. I just wanted to articulate our organizational frustration that this keeps happening. And we are hopeful that the city, through its new leadership in the Preservation Office, will begin to make corrections around this. But it's really, really disappointing to see, you know, this direction and this like commitment to tearing it down. I mean, even does the plan that was just shown, I don't think that there was never an assessment of adaptive reuse. There was never any sort of evaluation of how things could be realigned to utilize or save this building or make it part of the park and integrate it into the park. And I would just finally conclude with saying cities all over the country have these types of historic buildings in their parks. I was just in New York. You'd walk through Central Park. It is full of small little buildings that are part of its cultural landscape that they have found ways of adaptively reusing. And they add texture and they add tone. And just because it's in a park that is surrounded by a community that doesn't have the resources and doesn't have the ability to advocate strongly, doesn't mean that we should just be tearing down buildings that have this deep-rooted significance to the history of our community's culture.
Thank you, Demian. Now I'm going to ask Savannah and Joel if they have comments before I comment.
Sure, I can go. I mean, I can echo Andrew and also the previous times that we've seen this, the disappointment for the plan, and I'm not compelled by I mean, if the plan that Andrew showed is in fact the latest, even though it said 2022, so I'm not sure we've even seen the latest. I'm assuming it's what's proposed, but it doesn't seem like it's not possible to save it for a bit of an extra corner. I mean, it's in the corner of the entire park for open space or fields, of which there are plenty of space for that. So yeah, disappointed in the lack of creativity. And but I appreciate that this is put on the agenda and brought back to our attention now that this new information about it being individually eligible is now something to consider. I do notice that it's not an item we can take action on. Is that correct?
That's how it was set up.
Okay.
But I'm going to ask them to come back after we hear from Joel.
Oh, okay. Good.
Joel, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add. I agree with my fellow commissioners. Yeah, it just seems to me that, well, I agree. Andrew gave it the presentation, so there you go.
Okay, thanks. I would, in light of the fact that, Parks and Rec, you're assuming that we're fine with this mitigation of destruction, to mitigate the destruction of a listed resource. And I'm concerned about, I would like really to ask Christina to come back with Parks and Rec at a future meeting and explain to us what the justification is for not following the administrative directive of the city, the intent of the bonds to preserve historic resource, to do that, and and further this discussion so that we fully understand the position of the city manager's office and Parks and Rec about historic resources, especially in this case, when the landscape has changed. And we clearly did not feel that the explanation of why that little building had to go away, that you couldn't work with it. And so is that something, Christina, that you can discuss with your colleagues in the city manager's office?
Yeah, we can certainly come back. As you know, and as others have, Damien acknowledged it, there's been a lot of change in the city process, the city staff, and moving forward. We even yesterday were having a conversation about some of the study and the work that the Historical Landscape Committee has done, and how we are going to take that and look at it and take it into consideration as we move forward to help preserve our history. So certainly willing to come back and have that conversation.
Well, thank you. And I strongly urge you all to think about this, because it's a very bad precedent. As I've mentioned in previous meetings, Parks and Rec have consistently not well incorporated historic resources or taken them into consideration in their plans for parks. The surveys that go out to the public say nothing about, oh, hey, did you know this was a historic park? Things like that. So it's just, and we've asked repeatedly for, some sort of visibility on those surveys. A lot of the very interesting, very historically significant parcels in the community are parks, and we hope that something better can be made of this situation. So because we're not allowed to provide comment, we'll just say that we'd like to schedule this for a future meeting. Hope you will reconsider the position and give us more, shall I say, believable answers to our questions about the adaptive reuse potential for the parcel. So, but we appreciate you coming forward today, and we look forward to continuing this conversation. So, thank you.
And Chair Majewski, if I can just clarify, you all are welcome to make a motion or provide comments. The no action is referring to the fact that there's no active permit application to be reviewed at this point.
Well, does someone want to make a motion about what I ask Christina from the city manager's office and Parks, or is that enough of a directive? What do you think, Desiree?
I think that's enough of a directive, but it's up to you.
It's up. I'm fine with that, unless commissioners, you would like us to make a motion.
No, I'm
What do
fine
you
with
think?
that as well.
Okay. And if anyone needs further clarification, that can be in the LAR too. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for being here. So let's move to, because we have not very long to go over case 4C before Andrew has to leave and we lose a quorum. So we'll move to 4C. Do you want to go ahead and recuse, Savannah?
I will recuse, yes, and then you can just text me to return.
Yeah.
I sent you
Savannah
my,
recused.
yeah.
Great, thank you. You recused at 1:32. Okay, so item 4C is TPPRE 0825-00163 at 380 South Meyer Avenue. It's a courtesy review in the Barrio Historico HPZ. It's a contributing property, and I believe, do you have anything you want to preface this with, Desiree? Or should we just introduce Herb?
Terry, this is Jason. I will do a preface for
Oh,
this. I'll keep it very
perfect.
brief.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Chair Majewski and members of the subcommittee. As he said, this is a cursory review for agenda item 4C at 380 South Meyer Avenue in the Barrio Historico HPZ. The proposed scope of work today is for a ticket booth and entry doors at the Teatro Carmen. Brief background: on July 23rd, staff conducted a site visit with the applicant, Herb Stratford. Staff walked the property and viewed the interior renovations going on at Teatro Carmen. The applicant provided a timeline of the uses as staff walked the site. There are no public comments at this time. The applicant, Herb Stratford, is here to present on the proposed ticket booth and entry doors. This concludes my staff report.
Great, thank you. And Herb, are you and Drew going to present?
I'm gonna pass over to Drew to present, and I'm here to fill in the blanks as needed, but Drew is gonna take it off.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. How are you guys doing? My name is Drew Cook. I'm work with PMM, Poster Myrtle McDonald, and I've been working on the Teatro Carmen for how long have we been on this? Maybe 3-4 years together with Herb. And we've previously come to this board with 2 other projects. So the first one was the facade, which you guys are familiar with, and if you've gone by, you can see the work that we've accomplished. The second project that we've accomplished recently is the roof phase, where we removed the existing roof, rebuilt the whole structure, and then built a new stage house, as well as sort of, strengthening the building because it was a little worrisome. And here we are now presenting another project, and it is the ticket booth that we're working on. So we would like to recreate a ticket booth and the 2 entry doors into the space. We do not have any historic proof or photographs of a ticket booth being there, but we are under the assumption that there would have been a ticket booth, seeing as how there were no cell phones in that time. And I think you guys have the document. Would you like me to share my screen too while I
Yes, please.
speak of this? Thank you. Okay, so this is our, trying to move the zoom out of my way. This is the drawing for our proposed ticket booth. And now we didn't have any existing basis of design. So what we chose to do was we looked at the proscenium stage that we have, and we are currently reconstructing inside the building. And we used the key elements from that stage to sort of design and dress the ticket booth. The lower levels from the lower section, as you can see down on the right-hand photograph. And then we used some of the key elements up at the top trim. So our goal is just to emulate or copy those 2 trims and then bring them outside. We had gone through a series of iterations where we originally had it looking very historic, and we determined that it wasn't really the correct look and design, as we didn't want to falsify the history of this project. So we opened up the front by removing some of the mullions and just kind of creating a glass face that allows the person inside to see all the way around, and create enough room for a computer, a printer, and possibly a cash register of some sort. Currently, we're still working on the scale and the size of this, and I think we might shrink it down a little more, but probably not much, maybe by inches. And you can see here in the plan how it fits inside of our patio, and this is an open air patio, so it's got gates, so it's basically an overhung space. as for the colors, we struggled with it, and we've sort of determined to go with a gray so that it feels different from the surrounding building and what's in there. Herb, would you like to add anything to this?
Yeah, I would just say that, I work as a historic theater consultant around the country, and I work on projects that are from different eras all the time. And what we do in situations like this, when we don't have photographic evidence, is we look to other theaters that are the same period to see what we can find. And the best thing that I could find, I found a theater on the border between Texas and Mexico that was the same vintage as the Carmen. And when we looked at the photographs from the interior and the exterior of that building, it definitely gave us a starting point. I think one of the underlying things about this design is that this, unlike the Fox Theater, was built at a time when there was not a lot of decorative plaster or gold leaf murals, anything like that. This was a small community theater. The elements of decor that are significant, would have been the proscenium, which we have, the pressed metal ceiling, which we have, and probably little else. It would have been very sort of simple. So we wanted to reference that, but also there's an old saying that the show starts on the sidewalk at movie theaters, and so the idea that we're bringing out those elements of the proscenium, which would have been done at the same time a ticket booth would have been done, that would have been sort of the clue to the audience that there's some nice elements inside, but not a crazy scrolly gold leafy whatever. So we feel that this sort of captures the spirit, and it gives a hint architecturally, but it's not creating a false historic narrative. And it seems like it would be exactly the right thing to do. As Drew mentioned, the majority of tickets are purchased online and on your phone, so you're not going to have some of the big line issues that you might have at the old days when you had paper tickets. So this booth is going to be largely a decorative space, but it also helps sort of convey the use of the building. The building, as you guys know, was an African American social club for 50 years. It was only a theater for 6 years. So this is sort of the last piece of the exterior that we feel that we would be coming to you probably, and it's just sort of the last sort of historic piece that we can really sort of shine a light on and give a sense of history that's authentic, but not fake history.
Great, thank you. Before we discuss this, could we see the doors too, so that we can comment at once, because we're coming down to the wire where we will lose a quorum? I mean,
So let me address the doors real quick. So the doors as drawn here, they're just solid core doors with no windows, no inset windows, and that is because of a couple things. One, that would have been what the doors would have been on this building in terms of the time period and the architectural resources available to the builders. But also, we don't want to again create a false sense of history and then compete with the 1941 doors that are on the Elks Club edition next door. So really, there's not a detail for the door at this point. They're just a solid door. And that would be, and then of course they have to have all the interior panic hardware and everything, but there's really no separate drawing for the doors. The ticket booth is really
Okay.
the piece.
Okay, what color will the doors be? Herb?
So basically the color palette in the Carmen is really, very limited just because of what colors were available then. So we're going to bring that green color that we already have in the upper windows on the facade, and that's the color that the proscenium was also painted. So they would be that desert sagey kind of green color that is on Drew's drawing.
Okay, all right. Well, let me ask fellow commissioners, Andrew and Joel, what do you think of these things?
I just have a quick, Joe, I have just a quick question. When were those 6 years that it was a theater, and I'm really asking what the era.
1915 and 1921, Joel.
Okay, thank you, Herb. All right, good. Thank you. That's really all I had.
Okay, Andrew?
Yeah, this looks good to me. No comments really. I would say proceed.
Yeah. I just want to say that we really appreciate that you've come to us with all these details and you didn't even have to. And we appreciate that Scott O'Mac is on from the county and supports, everything has been so transparent and appreciated on this series of reviews and what a great project it is. And thank you. And please do let us know when it's ready to really have a full view of this.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to be done. I think as Drew mentioned, we're finishing phase 2, which was structural roof and the stage house. We're finishing that probably by the 6th or 7th of September, and then hopefully we're going to pivot into the exterior patio in October, and then of course, you know, into the interior after that. So you'll see us several more times, and I would be
Oh,
happy.
we will. Okay. Okay. I thought you said we wouldn't. It was just these certain details that you were done with.
You know, I think we're going to want to show you, just even if it's a courtesy review, we're going to want to show you what we're doing. And so I think there's some things about, I want to, not to sort of jump the shark here, but, you know, the building originally had 10 exterior windows, 5 on the north side, 5 on the south side. And we're going to, 3 or 4 of those on the north and all the ones on the south have been brick infilled. We want to open those back up, not for light, but just to open up and re sort of invigorate that historical architectural feature. And so there's some other things that I think will probably come back to you and just sort of in a courtesy review, let you know what's going on. We don't want to have any surprises when you walk in on opening night.
Well, thank you so much. So thank you all. And I will let you guys go and I'll have Savannah come back on. And so Andrew, you have to take off.
Yeah, I'll wait till Savannah jumps back on and I'll take off.
Okay,
Thank
I
you
just
all.
talked to her. Thank you. Bye-bye. And Andrew, if you are done with your meeting and can pop on to see if you can catch us at the end of the meeting, but if you can't, we'll be in touch about some issues possibly surrounding the meeting on September 11th,
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
as I mentioned in my email. So, okay, she's gave me the thumbs up. She's getting back on. So and then we'll note that you left at a certain time. Thank you for being here. Savannah. Is she back? Is she coming?
I'm here.
Wait. Oh, hi. Okay, so you returned at 1:44. Returned at 1:44, and Andrew left at 1:44. So
Yep.
thanks, Andrew. Good luck with your client meeting.
Thank you. Hopefully see you guys later.
Yeah, bye-bye. Okay, and thank you, presenters for items 4A and 4B for your patience. Kept on time here. It's 1:44. So we'll move back to historic preservation review cases. Item 4A, SD 0725-00105 /TC-RES-0625-03257 at 250 East 17th Street. This is in the Armory Park, HPZ. It's a full review. It's non-contributing, and we're using the rehabilitation standards. Do you want to give us some background, Desiree?
Yes, I think, Michael, did you want to give background on this one?
Yes,
If not,
I
I'm
will.
gonna, okay.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. This property, as you see it, it's a construction of a new single family on a vacant lot in the Armory Park. The applicants have gone before Armory Park sometimes in January of this year, January 21st, as a courtesy review, just to get feedback and to provide the concept of what they want to do. At that meeting in January, Armory Park looked at the design and gave them some good feedback on the preservation standards, what they expect to see and how the design should look like. They also discussed some design elements that they would want the applicant to incorporate into the final design. Then comes July 15th. The applicant came before the board incorporating the new elements and the feedback that were received in January to present to the Armory Park. You do have the legal action report for that meeting, in which Armory Park voted in that meeting. And of course, the legal action report that you have also discusses some of the elements that the board actually took into consideration before arriving at their final conclusion. Armory Park made a motion to approve the plans as presented with some conditions, and that the corrugated fences The awnings, the scrappers should not be reflective, rusty, or painted. And this recommendation passed by a motion of 4 votes to 0. Staff will be willing to answer any other question that you may have. If not, I will turn it over to the architect to present the plans. The plans that you are seeing today are the same plans that Armory Park reviewed. What we are doing in our office today is that we actually want the applicants to come to you with the same plans that the advisory board has already reviewed, because this body has the right either to go by the recommendation from the advisory board, to set it aside, or to make their own independent decision. So we try not to let applicants be changing plans in between, so there's no confusion. The plans you are reviewing today will be the same plans that Armory Park had looked at. And then
And they met
after,
in April, Michael? They met in April the last time and voted?
no, they met, these are the plans that were, this one was done in July.
July, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I just
July
made the wrong
15,
one.
Madam
Yeah,
Chair.
I knew that because I don't have my other screen up, so. Okay, and commissioners, you have the LAR from that meeting from Armory Park, so we can refer to that as needed. So, Mr. Robinette, are you presenting?
Yes, I'll present if, yeah, I'll walk you guys through that.
Okay, do you have
Presentation.
permission? There you go.
There we go. Okay, so I'm the owner of this property at 17th and Herbert, hoping to build a house for myself, just under 1,700 square feet. There's an existing wrought iron fence, that I'll be keeping or propose to keep at 17th Street and then alter on the alley Herbert. The proposing one off-street parking drive area off of Herbert as well. And then that conditional approval was based on some corrugated metal that's used, and they wanted to make sure that that would not be a reflective material. Rolling through for heights, I'm proposing higher and lower masses. The higher would be a flat roof parapet at 13.4, and the lower at 12, measured from the floor. The perimeter yard setbacks based on the development zone on the front on 17th Street. The front at 17th Street, proposing 8 feet with 6 foot at the minor Herbert setback. Go through the development zone after this, and then to the neighbor to the east, a setback of 7'6", and then at the south, kind of rear, opposite 17th Street, a 14-foot setback where that drive parking area is. You know, trying to stay consistent with forms in the neighborhood, the usual things. Got utilities coming in off of Herbert, which will be concealed by that new fencing. And then this goes into development zone. So we're looking here at 17th and Herbert. Zooming in. Here's my development zone. The southeastern part of that's relatively undeveloped, and then the blue highlighted properties are all contributing. My property in the center in the red. Here's an aerial view from the south, looking at the property. From the southwest, spinning around. This is northeast. So here's Herbert, 17th.
Yeah. Is the screen updating for the rest of you?
Oh. Are you guys seeing the
Yeah.
presentation?
Yeah, I am. Is anyone else having problems? Savannah?
There, I see it now.
Got
Okay,
it?
great.
I'm okay.
Okay, so here's starting at the corner of 17th and 4th Avenue. This is a contributing property. Two contributing properties across 17th from my property. Here is sort of kitty corner at Herbert and 17th. One of the setback precedents. Here's a 6-foot setback. Here's across Herbert from my property, overhanging the property line, 0-foot setback here. Here's some of the flat roof precedents and massing and window rhythm down on Herbert down here. Continuing down Herbert, another contributing property. Again, here's on 18th and Herbert. Porch. Immediately adjacent neighbor, it's I think well done for the neighborhood, but not actually contributing. Likewise, this neighbor, same situation. And then this house as well on 17th and 4th. Well done, but non-contributing. And then here is views of my property with Herbert here, 17th coming across here. Here from the other angle. Switch now to the drawings, site plan. Did that switch? Can you guys see drawings now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a site plan with setbacks as discussed. Herbert on the left, 17th Street running across the top. The kind of square, almost square mass on the corner is a higher 13'4" parapet, and then that steps down to 12, and those masses towards the neighbors. Here is that off-street parking with a fabric shade proposed. And zoning did ask that I clarify with you that there would be a support post for this fabric shade on the property line at the existing fence post.
So you're asking to waive the setbacks, recommend
Yeah,
waiving
for
the setbacks for on that
Yes.
side. Okay.
Yeah, and that wasn't explicitly discussed with Armory Park, so I may need to make that clear with them. But the rest of these setbacks we discussed and need to be recorded as such for zoning.
So basically you're requesting all setbacks.
Everything except the 14-foot, yeah.
Okay. That's helpful to the motion maker.
Yep.
Okay.
The existing wrought iron fence runs along here where it will be kept to maintain that view, that corner view, which is characteristic of the neighborhood. And then new corrugated fencing proposed here, here, and here to conceal utilities and for privacy security. There's a pergola over a patio proposed here with an exterior fireplace. You can look at in the elevations. And I'll pause there if there's any questions on the site plan before going to the elevation.
Go ahead with the elevations. We'll hear the whole presentation, and we may ask you to go
Okay.
back to a slide or something. Yeah, in the interest of
You got it.
time.
So this is the 17th Street, kind of the main elevation. Materials are metal-clad wood windows. Again, a corrugated awning, corrugated metal awning with wood supports, wood doors, stucco finish I mentioned. Looking at a matte, non-glossy corrugated metal for the steel elements. Some type of natural stain for the doors, and then the window frames color in one of these two colors. Can't make up my mind. And then this off-white earth tone for the stucco. The Herbert elevation is here, showing that fencing that conceals utilities. Here's the existing wrought iron that remains. From the east, where so the neighboring house faces this elevation, showing those windows. Here's that entry covering that rear pergola covered patio with exterior fireplace. And then here's the south elevation. Looking at the back, you see the lower 12-foot parapets towards the neighbors, and then beyond on 17th is that 13-foot-4 parapet. And that is the quick version.
Okay, I am going to ask Commissioner McDonald if she will go ahead, go first, and Savannah, if you could recap the Armory Park conditions, could you do that for me?
Yeah, I believe, let me pull it up quick, right? Lost it for a second. Really the only condition was that the corrugated material, whether it's on the fencing, awning, or scuppers, be, oh, sorry, the corrugated metal fencing, awning, which is also corrugated panel, right? And then scuppers be non-reflective, rusty, or painted. And that sounds fine to me. Non-reflective. I mean, that sounds fine to me.
I think that wording is a little confusing, but
yeah.
I believe they were saying they want it to be non-reflective, so they wanted to either treat the galvanized with something so it's not brand new looking, or be rusted, or be painted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So basically,
That was
whenever
my
you've got corrugated or galvanized metals, that it be painted or treated with a coating so it's non-reflective.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But not necessarily painted, but not non-shiny.
Yeah. Do you have a plan for what you want to do? Do you have a preference? Just curious.
Yeah, I want to do like a non-reflective or galvanized. Oops, sorry.
A non.
Just
Okay.
sort of like this.
Okay. Okay. Has there never been anything on this property? Has it always been vacant?
Yeah, it's always been vacant. Yeah.
Wow.
Correct.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. That surprises me. All right. Let me.
Yeah, that whole corner was never developed until the 90s. I was surprised, like this whole block here.
Interesting. And it wasn't like the yard of one of those other structures ever originally?
No, these all the two, everything in that smaller block, I think, is late 90s constructed.
Okay. No, I think it's well considered and yeah, thoughtful for the context. I have no real questions or comments. Your elevations nicely illustrate what's proposed. I guess my only question is, and it's just to clarify a little more of the detail, what is the proposed stucco texture?
That's like a imperfect smooth or sanded.
Like a really light sand, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's good. I mean, the plans are clear.
Yeah, and Savannah, I'm going to ask you to make the motion, so be sure that we understand all the setbacks that we'll have to mention in the motion.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that was my final bit. There's an east 7'6" setback waiver that we need to comment on. Is that right?
There's I believe that it's
Or I could just say
these off.
it's proposed 7'6" setback is acceptable and that's on the east. And then the only
Yeah,
thing you have on the
7
south is those shade posts.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
But I believe both the west and north setbacks need to be.
Okay. So 8 foot on the north
Correct.
and 6 on the west. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Looks good.
Great.
Okay, Joel, do you have any questions before I ask a couple?
No, Savannah took care of it. I think it's a nice presentation, and I support the setback insofar as we're changing them. They're fine, given the context. So good job, Will.
Okay, let's look at, before you take these pictures down, Will, let's look at let's make sure that the drawings call out everything that needs to be called out, because when I was looking at them, my eyesight, I'm getting old, so it's hard for me to read some of this, but that's not your fault. But there was something you may need to call out a little bit more detail on the corrugated metal. Like, there was something, just metal fence or something. Let's just look. Corrugated metal fence. Yeah, and you might want to say that it's non-reflective or whatever wording. Savannah, what would you?
I like the term non-reflective. It doesn't close the door to any of the finish options that he wants to consider.
Yeah,
I think it's just they
that's-
just like Army Park, they just didn't want it to be like the shiny.
Yeah, and
right.
they sometimes talk about like rusticated or rusted, or we've heard it different ways from people on that. And so, but anywhere that it's, because you have the notes on the plans, it's nice that you're having metal clad wood windows. I can only see that. I can now. Okay. All right. Any other questions before you make a motion, Savannah?
Let's just review real quick to make sure I have it right. Shade posts on south property line are acceptable. The east 7'6" setback, the north 8 foot setback, and west 6 foot setbacks are acceptable. And then for corrugated metal to be a non-reflective finish wherever it's proposed. Does that sound comprehensive enough?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that sounds good to me. Does that sound good to you, Joel? So she can go ahead and make the motion?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
All righty. Let me go to the agenda.
So, Madam Chair, I have a question. So when we do this, we're also approving the proposed metal fencing that is on the plans, right? So they don't need to come back for any minor review.
Well, if the motion says as presented with the following conditions, then that covers it, don't you think? Do you need us to call out the fence?
No, that's fine. I just wanted for clarification. That's fine with me.
No, okay, thank you for asking though, so we get it all right the first time.
All right. On the matter of SD-07125-00105/TC-RES-0625-03257 at 250 East 17th Street. I move to recommend approval of the project as presented with the following conditions or notes. That the shade posts on the south property line are acceptable. The east 7'6" setback, the north 8 foot setback, and west 6 foot setback are acceptable. And that corrugated metal to be a non-reflective finish wherever it is proposed.
Great, Joel, will you second?
Yes,
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, I'll go ahead and call roll. Terry votes aye. Savannah?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
It passes 3-0 with Commissioner Christopher not present. Okay, and thank you. Do you have any questions, Will, about this or the next
Nope,
steps?
not right now. Nope, I'll figure it out. Thank you.
No, but you can
Thanks
always,
everybody for your time.
you can always ask PDSD if you have any questions and you
Yep.
understand the process, the next steps and all, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Good luck with your project.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so we are now to item 4B. SD 0225-00018/TC-RES-0423-04425 at 746 South Osborne Avenue. This is a full review in the Barrio Historical HPZ. It's a contributing property. Rehabilitation standards are used, and it's for a garage and second dwelling addition, existing buildings renovation. Roman Science are you presenting? Are you the owner, Roman, or the architect?
No, I'm a project manager for Casa de Otero and Desert Wolf Drafting, who drafted up the plans for the owners, Waco Star and Jonathan Humig. And I'll be presenting their plan here.
Okay, and if you would, you just, I think, put your name in there for the case, but we need to know your affiliation so that we get it correct for the legal action report and minutes, if you would do that when you get a chance. Okay?
In the chat, right?
Yes, perfect. Yeah, that helps a lot.
Sure.
Okay, and Desiree, did you want to say anything about this before Roman starts?
Yeah, Michael is going to
Yeah.
give a bit of background.
Perfect.
Okay, Madam Chair, this project, as you can see, is in the Barrio Historical. The garage and the second dwelling addition, which is being proposed today, was first scheduled to be reviewed by Barrio on the May 12th, 2025. For some reason, Bobby and Roman did not show up for that review, so that there was no review on that day. Subsequently, we scheduled it for June the 9th for another review. And so when they came in for that review on June 9, the Barrio reviewed the plans and provided a lot of feedback to them, which had more to do with the access to the garage. It also has to do with the issue of the Barrio not wanting garages to be on the street. The Barrio design guidelines like garages to be on the side or in the rear, but they had issues with that. That was discussed. They also discussed about the doors to the garage, and they talked about the exit from the garage, doubting whether it was onto Osborne or on 11th Avenue. And then they also talked about they didn't want this project to be like a precedent in the district. And they provided all that information to them. They even went around talking about lot coverage and things like that. And they also talked about the gate that had been proposed. So in the final analysis on that June 9, the Barrio decided to continue the review to allow time for Roman and Bobby to revise their plans so that they can include all the feedback that they got. So when they came back to the Barrio on July 14, they came with a set of plans that included all the feedback that they got from June the 9th. So the plans that you are going to see today are the same plans that the Barrio reviewed on July the 14th. They reviewed that plan and recommended approval. We provided you with a copy of that legal action report, and the action report recommended approval of the plans with the conditions of matching the architectural features at the pool house with the new house built, and to eliminate the fire-rated extended wall on the north side of the pool house. That motion passed by 4 votes to 0. So Roman is here to present to you based on the feedback that you got from June the 9th and how they included in their plans, and to hear what you are going to recommend today. If there's any
Okay,
question,
so
if there's any question for staff, I will be happy to answer it. If not, I will turn it over to Roman to continue with this presentation.
okay, so the plans that we're seeing incorporated the discussion from the earlier Barrio discussion, right?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Roman. Do you
So-
need permission to share the screen?
Yeah. let me
You should
see.
have it. Let me
Thank
know.
you.
Let me know if you need me to share my screen.
Sorry, I'm really new at this, so give me a minute here.
No
And like I
worries.
was saying in the first case, Madam Chair, what we are doing in the preservation office now is that applicants come to you with the same plans that the advisory board has reviewed and made their motion. We try not to make them to change the plans. After PRS review and recommendation, then we ask them to then revise the plans that will incorporate the comments from the advisory boards and the comments from the PRS. That way we can do one general approval letter. That's a new thing that we're doing in the Historic Preservation Office now. Unlike in the past, where we used to put conditions, and some of them were never really met. So we're trying to avoid that. And we'll see how far that goes.
And Roman, I can share my screen if you'd like, and you can just tell me to, advance if you
Sure.
prefer.
Yeah, I don't know how to do this. It's not.
Yeah, no worries.
Go ahead.
Maybe it's not letting you for some reason. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. So the first photo is the existing primary residence. Believe it was built in 2019. And if you scroll down, there's the aerial site. The structure to the south is the primary residence. The structure to the north is the existing adobe structure, unknown age, and essentially built pretty close to the lot line, within about 2 feet 8 inches or so. The second dwelling and garage proposal are 903 square feet for the second dwelling, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And then we have a 2-car tandem garage. So it would be 1 car entering behind the other, no wider than, a 1-car width. And both of those buildings would be attached to the SFR and then shared wall with the second dwelling. The adobe is offset, and that'd be to the east of the second dwelling. Proposed construction materials for the garage and the second dwelling are CMU block, which is the same as the existing home, with smooth stucco finish, wood-clad windows, awnings over the door, roughs on wood, parapet wall, flat roof, and the garage door would be a wood carriage house style door for the garage, and on the opening to the casita. One space parking in front of the second dwelling. the garage would have a second door on the east end for access, pedestrian wise only. You can't drive through onto the property. You know, they would deliver groceries or, you know, materials, landscape materials, whatever. So you wouldn't drive through. It's only a one way in, one way out. What else? Let's see. That's our development zone. Examples of the neighborhood that we followed to design this project. So one of the recommendations from the historic board was to change the doors out, which we agreed to. We're going to get rid of the transom windows and go to the multi-light, what do you call it? The more glass panel looking door, divided light. The awnings over the doors will be rusted metal, non-reflective, rough sawn wood. There's the garage door that's going to look like a carriage house door. The heights of the proposed structures are equal to or less than the existing home. This is an image of the proposed casita. The historic recommended that we eliminate the cantilevered shade on the east end there and revise to more of a toldo, toldo awning with the wood structure underneath. And so that's going to match the others with the rusted sheet metal. This is the existing house, and we're matching many of the finishes on that. Smooth stucco. Color will be white on the new buildings. Rough sawn wood underneath the awnings and porches. This is the existing casita, the adobe that's out back. It's got a white stucco on the exterior. Pretty dilapidated and run down. It's a dirt floor with no footings. So we had to put a temporary roof over it to keep it from eroding more. Yeah, but really hoping to get this approved so we can get it cleaned up and saved.
Roman, could you go back a couple so I can see your note on something?
Sure.
Okay, wait, right there. That's good. Double pane. So the transom windows are
going away.
Okay. To be replaced with?
It's just going to be a one door system without the window above.
Oh, I see. So like you said, all the transoms are gone, but they still appear on the drawings you showed us? Oh,
Yes.
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 Okay.
So this is a letter from an Adobe specialist in town, and both he and another an engineer, a structural engineer, recommended against bearing weight on the Adobe. So the plan is to surround the Adobe exterior with CMU block and utilize the new footing with wall structure to carry the weight of the roof over the Adobe. The Adobe finish inside will remain visible. We're gonna Waco and Jonathan want to keep the truth window, quote unquote, basically historic, and you'll be able to see the Adobe on the inside.
Okay. All right, so are we ready for questions, commissioners? Who would like to begin?
Well, I'll start since you were just talking about, you called it a carriage house, the Adobe structure that exists.
Yeah, that's what we think it was in the past, since the opening is so wide. It was either a storage unit of some sort or maybe a carriage house. We don't really know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the effort to rehabilitate it and keep it as part of the property, but enclosing it in a CMU wall basically just it's a it kind of hides its expression of the elevation of the structure. So I'd recommend actually reversing that. A lot of times when we rehab Adobe, we do it from the inside with new structure on the inside, so you can still see all the Adobe from the outside. So that seems counter to me to just enclose it in some other structure that you wouldn't really get to understand or see an expression of the original form unless you go inside. But that's my comment on that.
Do you mind if I respond?
Sure.
So, looking at the structure from the exterior, you see white stucco. You can't tell that it's Adobe. So,
Yeah.
Surrounding it with the CMU and putting the same stucco on the CMU, you'd never know that it was CMU either, right? I mean, once, I mean, you can't tell. So,
Then why preserve it if you can't see it?
well, we're preserving it because it's in the historic zone and we're required to do it.
I would I don't know, maybe work with Michael and Desiree on that. I mean, look at some precedents of Adobe structures in town, how they're preserved, how they're, it's not a perfect situation, but to screen it from weather by providing, Ramada structure over it or something like that. Or if it needs to be weather tight, there's some things that can be done, but to just enclose it in a CMU wall is just not good preservation technique because it loses its original footprint and such. And I don't see it well described, with the exception of like these structural drawings, which I honestly can't super see. I don't see it in plan. So I'm curious how the footprint expands and how close it is to the property line and stuff. And that goes for my main comment on the new proposed structure, the dwelling unit as well. I don't see a floor plan. Do you have a floor plan you can share with us on that?
I do. Let me try and figure out how to share my screen.
Is it in this packet or is it in a different
I didn't see it in the packet that was posted.
It should be in the original submittal to the city with our project. Are you able to access the development dashboard by any chance?
Yes, it will take.
Maybe,
take a minute.
maybe you should look at the plans for June 9.
Do you have those, Michael, or are you able to
No.
easily access them?
I don't know whether I have them. But they went to the barrio on June 9, so it should be on our website. If it is there, then we posted it on our website.
I see. Okay.
So it's, I mean, I'll just continue my question for the mean while you pulled that up. I see 2 doors on the west. Is it just it's just a single residence, but there's 2 exterior doors, or is it vision for 2 more dwelling units? I guess I was curious about with the 2 extra cars.
On the garage?
Yeah, well, I was just looking at you've got 2 front entry doors off the west too, right? Is it just a single residence? That's why I was curious to look at the floor plan. I didn't understand it from elevation.
Which building are you talking about?
The new building, the one we're reviewing?
Well, we have the second dwelling, correct?
Yeah,
it-
west elevation on sheet 11.
Let's see. So the second dwelling does have 2 doors on the west. And they've designed the second dwelling to have the ability to open it up to 2 different guests or close it off to 2 different guests, or have one guest stay in the whole unit.
I see. Okay. That's sort of what I suspected. And Armor Park was they reviewed the floor plan? Is that right?
The barrio.
Sorry,
This is
Barrio.
barrio.
Yes. Yes,
Stuck
they
on the
did.
previous case, sorry.
These are the plans I can see in
Yeah.
TDC online.
Yeah.
Are any of these, which
Yeah,
one
it
is,
it
are you
should be
referring
the
to?
Osborne merge final.
Here, it's over here. Let me know which one. Is it this one? Are we-
No, you're gonna
Yes.
page down. That's the plan. I just need you to page down.
Is it not working?
You cannot see those?
No, or we're still on that first one. Can you go to the page down, like by going to the left?
Sorry,
There
let
is-
me do another, I needed to reshare, I think. Okay, can you see the plans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's the floor plan for the casita at the bottom.
This is the electrical plan. Is there another page?
Wait, so you're building 2 units and then you're using the carriage house as what? Another?
It's sort of a bathhouse for the pool.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I feel like this needed to have been in our presentation. To help us understand all these relationships, that the site plan is very limited. Okay, so you have windows that are, you said wood clad. Are they metal clad wood, or are they wood on the outside, wood on the inside?
Wood on the inside, metal on the outside.
Okay.
So metal clad wood.
Yeah, I think the plans I looked at just say wood clad.
Yeah, that should be maybe fixed on the plans. So there's no confusion.
Okay.
All right, and yeah, the awnings didn't have materials called out in elevation, but I found it listed in the presentation. I mean, that seems fine to me. It's a match to the existing.
It's the metal awnings.
Yeah, they're, what did it say? Metal over wood, corrugated metal. Let's see, corrugated metal and wood to match existing home. The transom windows go away. Here, the man doors say wood clad. Are those metal clad wood?
Metal clad wood, yes.
Okay. The windows and doors. I mean that's all sounds fine. It's just I think it needs to be clarified in the drawings. Oh, and then Barrio mentioned matching the architectural features of the pool house match the new house build. I'm not sure I understand that wording.
Say
Can
that
someone
again.
clarify that? The Barrio Historico comment was match conditions of matching the architectural features at the pool house match the new house build. Does that mean?
I'm pretty sure they're referring to the toldo and the awning. So
Oh, okay.
we had a cantilever shade come off the east end of the casita that they didn't like. And so we're eliminating that and going with the matching awning off the house.
Is that what we're seeing in section right here? Is the cantilever version that you're going to change?
Yes, yeah.
Is that how you remember it too, Michael? That's what was intended with that comment. It's just a little unclear.
I believe that was the intent.
Okay. And then the other question they said, eliminate the fire rated extended wall on the north side of the pool house. Can someone explain that?
Yeah, that jog that comes off of the casita there with keynote number 2. That was a wall that was gonna bear weight with the cantilever. And so
Oh.
that's coming out also.
Oh, okay. So they meant, is there any setback issues with any of this? I see some notes there relative to property line, but do we need to make comments about acceptable waivers?
Michael?
Yes, Madam Chair, I just think that honestly, we are just safe providing those waivers so we don't get people going back and forward. What I see right here, this 4 feet 2 is definitely going to be a setback issue. So I just think that you can give a blanket thing of saying setbacks are waived as presented on plans. That will cover it.
We're looking at the north ones though, right, Michael? Not the 4-2, because that's existing.
The 4-2 is existing and so is the 2-8, correct?
Yeah, so really we could just, it's the new building, the
It's a new
new,
building, yeah.
so is it 3-6?
Yes.
I see 3-6 here, which that one definitely will not be the setback.
Just for FYI, Andrew returned at 2:37.
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can't see that. Is that 3? That's 3-6?
It's 3-6.
Yes.
Okay.
On that one up there in the upper left, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're calling that the second dwelling unit, right? Because I heard you say casita. What is the keynote
This is
one called?
Yeah, that's second dwelling and we call the pool house the casita.
Okay.
Sorry to confuse you.
Yes. All right, I have my notes. I have questions. You get maybe.
Okay, I have a comment
Someone
or
else
two.
go.
Let's see, Joel, do you have anything?
Well, I had the same concern as Savannah with the shrouding of the adobe house with the slump block on the outside. And I don't know how we're gonna do the motion around that, but this issue of old adobe buildings, one that's important to me, and so however we work that out, I mean, if we are sending it to have them work it out with Desiree, I'd like to hear what we decided, because I mean, it is an issue. I mean, the balancing, I mean, the building's obviously dilapidated, and what do we mean by preserve, and et cetera. You understand what I'm saying? So that was my concern.
Yeah, well,
Is
I would
it a
recommend.
contributing structure?
No.
It
The
is,
back
yeah.
house? Oh, yeah.
It is.
But the main house is not, right?
No.
And
Right, so
I wonder how that dynamic works. And I just, I'm gonna be informed by what my fellow commissioners say, but I just would like to know more about how we work that out, if you get what
well, yeah, I would recommend dealing with adobe structures is not something that most structural engineers feel comfortable with. And there are structural engineers who work closely with other adobe specialists to deal with these issues of problems with the weight-bearing walls. And I've been involved in projects where they were able to do reinforcement along the top of the walls and place a roof over that. So I don't know if we could recommend that he consult with people that feel more comfortable with taking that on. Structural engineers are very iffy about it. And I've seen rehabilitations, reinforcement of like metal cables on the interior, bracing the walls before roofs put on. But I mean, I really don't think that shrouding the walls, I mean, I think it might lose its contributing status. I don't know what, Andrew, do you have any thoughts?
I do. Yeah, I apologize. I missed the earlier part of the discussion, but I did look through the plans earlier this week. And yeah, that's my main concern is the shrouding of the walls. To me, I think it would lose its contributing status. And additionally, I'd be worried about the added soil pressure there of CMU walls and how that might cause the adobe to further shift, and then placing those two walls either touching or so close together, you might have other issues with the adobe not being able to breathe properly, and it might
Yeah.
cause more deterioration. So there's options there. You need to find the right engineer to work with, but I mean, a common solution is to cast a concrete bond beam along the top of all the walls to kind of tie it all together and give yourself a solid bearing for your roof structure. There's other options where you can do like a toe down footing slab inside and frame up bearing walls from the inside and support your roof that way. But there's a lot of other options. To me, I felt the assessment from the Adobe specialist and the structural engineer were kind of lacking in detail, and I think they were probably solicited, as a means to justify not dealing with the Adobe rather than that, if you really want to preserve the Adobe and rehabilitate it, you can. You just need to find the right engineer.
And Adobe specialist.
Madam Chair.
Right.
And I add, in some cases that we have had in the barrio with the Adobe team, the recommendation has been for the applicant to work closely with a well-known Adobe specialist on how to rehabilitate or keep the contributing historic fabric. We have done that in the past. And I think we can still do so in this case because it is not the first time we have had this. And they have, when they see the Adobe specialist, they have been asked to consult with the Historic Preservation Office to make sure that it is somebody who is known, who has references for doing Adobe rehab. And that person will recommend methods and ways by which to maintain the structure, and then the Historic Preservation Office will look at it, vet it, and then make a recommendation before they move forward. That's what we have done with other Adobe properties that are in the barrio.
Sounds good to me. I think we could include something to that effect in the motion.
And would the Historic Preservation Office be able to recommend potential specialists to work with?
As civil servant, my understanding is that we do not recommend people to applicants. That's what I've been told. I do not know whether we can do it. We can check with our supervisors to see. My understanding is that we do not recommend professionals.
Well, as in the past, we have, I think PRS has suggested some names, and when asked by applicants, is that correct? PRS members, haven't you recalled that?
Yeah, we have provided specific names when we've been directly asked.
Yes, Madam Chair, as a board, you can do so, but we as staff, I believe we are limited as to what we can do. Sorry.
Well, I mean, do we want to go ahead and do it? Yes, Desiree, was that you?
Yeah, the Arizona Preservation Foundation does have a list of different consultants on different subject matter experts on their website. So that's also something that is a resource for members of the public.
Yeah, and I think it would be worth calling them and telling them what your situation is, and could they do, maybe even just come and see the building without, you know, you requesting a quote and incurring any more funds, but the issue is that they often, Adobe specialists tend to work with structural engineers that are more open to solutions that mitigate the risk. I mean, because, you know, the ones that I've worked with that have said, you know, it can range anyway from demolish the building, it can't be fixed, to, oh, hey, this is easy. Some of the solutions that Andrew mentioned too. And I agree that what you propose would almost certainly put stress on the existing Adobe walls and contribute to further deterioration. It almost certainly would if you blocked off the ability of the Adobe to breathe. You know, so anyway, Andrew, did you have any other questions or comments, or should we try to move forward toward a motion?
No, I don't have anything else to add. I agree
Okay.
with all of it.
Okay. Okay, Savannah, since you were taking notes, are you willing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out where we stand. I mean, the project is composed of so many parts and pieces. I don't know that I have any issues with the other proposed addition. It's just, there's a few comments on it related to the plans, right? To clarify materials, but it's the Adobe structure. I think we need to basically put a pause on in terms of its current design. Does that sound right?
That's right. to
Yeah,
me. That's what I think. Yes, Savannah.
Yeah, and I almost think that you would need to come back on that. I really do. But I don't know if we said that had to be dealt with, but the rest of the project, he could begin work on that. How does that work, Michael and Desiree?
If you want them to just come back for the with Adobe review, they can process the other aspect that is approved as of today. That section can go ahead and they'll put a pause, a hold on the Adobe part of it. Then when they come back to you, then they can go back to the permitting process. Can do that.
Would they also go back to the barrio with that? Or just us because we're recommending it?
I think just PRS.
It would just be PRS.
And I think it's also somewhat up to the applicant because, right, there could be, that could actually make more work, right, to separate these out into two different permit applications and additional fees, et cetera. So I guess it depends on how quickly they want to move forward with one part of the project and separating out the Adobe structure. That is one option, one route, or you could just bring it all back and keep everything under the same application.
Yeah, we certainly don't want you to, incur additional costs on, on your permitting and all that. So, and also we're making a recommendation. So basically the planning director could not make that a condition, correct?
That's correct.
So,
but 99% of the time, Madam Chair, the director goes by your recommendation. So,
right. Well, no, the only reason is we're not just being picky here. It's really against standards to sheath something on the exterior, because the whole point is to see the building, not on the interior, but on the exterior. But to do that, you've got to preserve it interior and exterior. Does that make sense? I mean, it's Adobe buildings are like that, because you don't want a sheath building that then continues to deteriorate on the interior. That would be a sad thing. So, anyway, what are you thinking for a motion, Savannah?
Well, I was a little curious to hear back from the applicant. Would you have any interest in us partially approving the project so you can make progress in the meantime, or I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. What does the time frame look like? Is it like, so if I go back and figure out a plan for the Adobe structure, and when would I revisit with you all to get a.
When you had it ready and the new plan ready. And you might even want the specialist to be there with you to,
No, I get that, but like, so like, is that a month? Is that 2 months? Is that?
As soon as you submit to us that you have completed with this, we can guarantee that we'll try to put you on the next PRS review that is coming up.
yeah,
It all
after
depends
you,
on you.
Okay,
yeah,
I mean, I think that if you granted us permission to move forward with maybe the garage, it would still allow me to work from the inside out, which is probably how we would want to make this work for the client. You know, accessing the site without those buildings in the way is going to be much better. So, yeah, I think
no,
a partial approval is great.
but knowing that you might have to pay additional fees,
And like, what do those look like? Is there an idea?
I don't know, Desiree and Michael would have to tell you.
Well, I'm misthinking it on the permitting, the rest of once you get past the historic review, you might have to resubmit or cleaned up versions of your plans that take out that Adobe structure, that are just looking at the garage and the existing dwelling unit or additional dwelling unit. So like any fees you might have to pay to update plans, that could be one thing. I'm not sure, I think in that case, there wouldn't be additional fees on our end. But then if you came back and submitted again a separate permit application for the Adobe structure, then that's a separate review. And it's going to be whatever our fees are. I don't know them off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think it's that big of a deal, but it's not my call either, so I'd have to consult with the client.
And PRS could make its motion and then, then it's in your court, right? What you intend to do as next steps, but they've at least provided their approval for what they feel comfortable approving today.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah, and then I think on future plans for the Adobe structure building, we would have to see, the Adobe specialist would provide you with what the solution would be and basically help you draw it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, so that's, that would have to be shown because that's part of the, what you'd have to build and do.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
And
did I
think
understand it correctly that there is one of you that could give a recommendation?
Well, as Desiree said, the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation has specialists.
Okay.
I mean, I've primarily worked with Means Design and Building Corporation on buildings such as, the officers' quarters at Fort Huachuca, buildings at Empire Ranch. Some of them are very small. Some of them had the same issues, like their hay barn had the same issue. I don't know, Andrew and Savannah, who would you recommend? And I know the structural engineer that Means works with is very creative and willing to work with the Adobe specialist. It's like you have to do it in tandem. What would you,
Yeah, there's a handful of engineers I could recommend. One of them would be Alex Corey out of Sierra Vista. The other would be Dave Gibbons with Schneider out of Tucson. And then the other would be Janelle Perry, also out of Tucson. I've worked on Adobe structures with all of them. I could probably send their contact info in an email or something to be forwarded.
yeah. And if you decide to work with Means or to talk to him at least, I can't remember the name of his structural engineer. And to Savannah, do you remember who he uses?
I do not. I'm sorry.
I could find that and so Andrew, how are you going to provide these things if Desiree and Michael can't provide them, how would we do that, folks?
Maybe the applicant could send one of us an email specifically asking for those recommendations, and then I'll respond with the context.
Or you could put your email in the chat possibly,
Sure.
and we could get back to you. That would be the easiest
Yeah,
thing.
I'll do
And
that.
then Andrew, you copy me and then I'll respond to both of you with, and these are just recommendations that you can, it's worth talking to them, because if you work on Adobe buildings in the future, you'll have someone you might feel comfortable working with.
Sure.
And to get like an accurate assessment from the get-go.
Okay, my email is in the chat for you.
Okay, thanks.
I can add on to the email chain too.
Yeah.
It will even
And if
help you, Robert, not only for this project, but the other projects that you work on. Maybe those people can be helpful to you.
Yes, that's what I was saying. So that's good. So I
And Terry,
think,
this is Joel. Can you just add me the chain? I don't know of anybody, but I'd like to learn, so.
okay, yeah. So just
Yeah.
Andrew, when you respond, you can blind copy us and then we can respond. Is that allowable, Desiree?
I am not sure. I would have to
If we
find
use the
out, but
BCC, yeah, if we use the BCC, we're okay.
yes, BCC is good. I also put a link to the Arizona Historic Preservation Foundation resource guide, and they have some of the people you mentioned. Maybe not everyone, but yeah, just looking at that. So
Okay.
Alrighty. So Savannah, what are you
Awesome.
thinking?
Okay, so recommend a partial approval of the project. The applicant should work with an Adobe specialist to come with a preservation plan for rehabilitation and reuse that maintains the integrity and contributing status of the Adobe structure, and that the bathhouse casita portion of the project is not approved, and PRS would like to see this portion of the project come back for review. The second dwelling unit and garage, is that what we're calling it? Sorry. Second dwelling unit and garage.
Yes.
Is approved with the following comments. That the north 3-foot 6-inch setback is acceptable. That windows and doors to be clarified on the plans to be metal clad wood, awnings to be clarified on the plans to be corrugated metal and wood. That's the notes I had on that. Am I missing anything?
Do we want to mention something about the Adobe specialist and possibly a structural engineer they work with or something like that, or
Oh, okay.
that can work with them or that is familiar with providing Adobe solutions that are structurally something like that.
you mentioned earlier the metal clad wood man doors. I don't know if you said that in your motion.
Yeah, windows. I just put windows
Oh, okay.
and doors
Okay.
because I think it's the same for the windows.
Mhm.
Metal clad wood, awnings. Do you think I need to say anything that the transoms are removed? I guess either way, that doesn't. I don't have a
Well, yeah,
opinion on
and
that
I think,
one.
yeah, and I think to update the plans as needed to show, any final, once the letter comes out from the planning director, update the plans to reflect the final decision, right? Because they're still showing, some of the things were changed on the plans, but the transoms were still showing, right? And he's going to get rid of them.
Is there a list somewhere that I'll be able to find the items that I need to revise and review?
Yes, we will provide the comments, the motion to you,
Oh,
and then it'll be also in the meeting minutes or the legal action report.
okay.
But also it'll be in the planning director's letter, right?
Yes, and that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you should wait till you have that before you proceed. And, I can't speak to how long it will take the director to craft that letter, and have it ready for you, because you have to wait. We can explain, Desiree and Michael can explain the next steps after we make a motion and vote on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Okay, go for it.
Here. On the matter of SD-0225-00018/TCRES -0423-04425 at 746 South Osborne Avenue. I move to recommend partial approval of the project as presented. The applicant with the following conditions. The applicant is to work with an Adobe specialist and an experienced structural engineer to come with a preservation plan for rehabilitation and reuse that maintains the integrity and contributing status of the Adobe structure. The Adobe structure proposed as a bathhouse casita portion of the project is not approved, and PRS would like to see this portion come back for review. The proposed second dwelling unit and garage is approved with the following comments. The north 3-foot 6-inch setback is acceptable. Windows and doors are to be clarified on the plans to be metal clad wood. Awnings to be clarified on the plans to be corrugated metal and wood. And that the applicant update the plans as needed to reflect the final decision, including removal of the transoms.
Okay, is there a second?
Savannah, can you, before the second, can you just change approved to recommended for approval, please?
Yes, I recommend partial approval.
Thank you.
Okay, who's seconding? Joel or Andrew?
Second, Joel.
I'll put Joel. Okay, is there any discussion of the motion? Okay, if not, I'll call roll. Terry votes aye. Joel?
Yeah, I.
Savannah?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Okay, so the motion passes 4-0. Michael or Desiree, can you explain the next steps to Roman?
So here's what is going to happen, Roman. Now going forward, you went to the bureau and got their feedback. You did not change the plans. Now you have come here today, you are getting these recommendations today. So what we are going to expect from you is that you are going to come out with a completely revised design package that will include all the recommendations that you got from the bureau and all the recommendations that you got today, so that the final approval letter that the director is going to issue to you is going to be a combination of what the bureau said and what has been said today. And all those recommendations will also feature on the approval letter that you receive, so that we are going to use that to cross-check with your plans to make sure that the bureau said this, you have done this. PRO has said this, you have done this. Take note, this is going to be a two-part. The Adobe structure is not part of the recommendation today. It's recommended for you to come back. So you are going to get the first approval letter that will just deal with the second unit. And then eventually you are going to get another approval letter that is going to deal with just the bureau. This allows you to at least continue with the permitting for the second unit that you're talking about here. while waiting for this to be done. And if you can do this in good time enough, maybe you'll be able to just do both of them or all of them at the same time, depending on when you get your Adobe specialist and you get us to reschedule you again.
Okay.
Michael, shouldn't he wait for the director's letter before he proceeds with making the plan changes?
No, the plan changes have nothing to do with what we have done. Two phases here, Madam Chair. He can do the changes for the second unit and get that moving. And then when he comes back with Adobe, it will be a different plan.
Okay,
I think I can chime in here, Chair Majewski. So the current practice, I think it's been like this since I started anyways. After we get both recommendations, staff provides those comments, essentially like a draft decision to the applicant, and the applicant updates their plans. Once we get the plans, we check to make sure everything is accurate and all conditions are met, and then we issue the final decision letter. But we will send you, Roman, the comments because we know there's a lot of different comments today. So, and then also the Barrio. So we'll provide you in an email, what the two motions were from each of the committees. So that way you have that information.
Okay, perfect.
Right, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask Desiree or Michael, so that because there's a lot going on in this project.
Yeah.
So okay, well, thank you and good luck with the project, and I think you'll be much happier with the outcome. And we'll be in touch with you via email on those recommendations or whatever.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, good luck. Okay. All right, let's move on to item 5, which is Task Force and Inclusivity Report Recommendations. 5A is discussion on best practices for naming of city and county-owned physical assets, and there's no report today. And Desiree, I should probably talk to you about, is there any time in the future that we might have time for discussion of this that doesn't, make the meeting 3+ hours long, with other cases?
Right.
So, but it's something I'd like to get done by this fall.
Okay.
But I have to revisit everything, and this is something new to you, so I need to send you what we have or talk to you about it offline just to give you some background.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, item 6 is current issues for information discussion. 6A, minor reviews. Could we have an update on that, please?
Sure, Michael or
Yeah.
Jason,
Yeah,
would
I
you like
can-
to share? Okay.
I can go first. In West University, we did 2 minor review since our last meeting. I did it with Commissioner Ireland. There was the first one, which is a solar panel at 219 East 2nd Street. Joe, you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, sure. It's actually on the back house there, and the solar panels will face north, so you cannot see them at all from either 2nd Street or the avenue or the alley. I've forgotten the name of the named alley, but so yeah, we said that was fine. Actually, it's Jim Glock's house. He's a historian and a good guy. So, and then I'm sorry, I won't go on. That's
And
it.
then the other one that we did was for a fence. That fence that is opposite your son's house at 707 East 1st Street.
Yeah, if you want me to comment, he's been before several times before, the owner of this house, and he's now fencing in his backyard partially, and a fence to secure his backyard that'll be seen from the street. He's using materials that are typical in West University, and so we thought that it was appropriate and didn't offend any historical principles.
Yes, this stayed in West University. I have led about 6 other reviews that I have sent to Rick and to Joey for them to take a look at it and decide whether to do a minor review on the field or whether they are good as presented. I don't want to take all your time reading all of those here. And we also have, I also have like 4 of them that are currently being reviewed in Amory Park. 617 South 10 for solar, 711 South 6 for electrical relocation, 424 East 16 for a pool, and one that we just completed for the church at 545 South 5th Street. The other 3, I believe I have sent them to Andrew, for Andrew to give us some feedback on this. And the other 6 that I have for West University, again, I just sent them to Andrew not long ago. And I want to actually thank Andrew for all what he's doing to help us with these minor reviews. He has been of tremendous resource to us. He looks at it very quickly and gives us very good comments on them. So those are the ones that I have for West University and Avery Park. I believe there are some one last one that I have, which is ongoing, is 315 North Main Avenue, which is a solar panel in the air procedure. I'm working with the board to get that reviewed and scheduled. Those are the ones that I have for right now. I believe my colleague Jason has some in the barrel too. Jason, over to you.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Recently completed a minor review in Barrio Historico, and this was at 414 West 18th Street for solar device installation. Recommendation was approval with the condition that the down conduit be painted to match the existing structure. That's been completed and already been sent off and signed the notice of decision. There's also been one in El Presidio that was at 337 North Court Avenue. This was for in-kind replacement materials for roof material, and that was a straight up approval. Notice of decision has already been signed, and have moved that applicant already forward. Currently, I'm trying to schedule a minor review in Fort Lowell for a solar device installation. I'm waiting for confirmation on all parties to be available to meet and discuss this proposed project. And that is what I have at this time.
Thank you. Anything else? So you'll both reach out to commissioners to see if they can help with reviews?
I have already been doing that, and I've already been, as Michael commented, Andrew has been very expeditious in getting back his comments to us. It's just waiting on getting the advisory board to set up a meeting with the applicant to get that minor review completed.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you. Okay, item 6B is appeals. Are there any at this time?
We do not have any, Madam Chair.
6C, zoning violations.
We continue to work with applicants to see any cases that are pending. We'll bring it up to you, but at this point in time, we do not have any big one that is out there that I can actually report. But we are continuously working with Rick Sadate, who is helping us with a lot of these violations.
Okay. And 6D, review process issues. Does anyone have anything to bring up?
If no one has comments, at some point I would like to bring to you all some kind of new materials that we're creating for applicants to help with, guiding through the application process, kind of those early stages. I'm still relatively new, but I think I've seen enough examples where it's clear to me that the applicants, I think, need more guidance up front at the beginning of the process. I think we've seen, some cases recently where there are a lot of like technical things in the plans or, information that is needed, things like that. I've seen cases where, like today, where they have plans, right, floor plans or other things, but for some reason they're not in our packets, and I'm not really sure why why those things wouldn't be included in our packets especially if they already have them somewhere else. So just things like that. We're looking at potentially, having staff pre-application meetings with the applicant to also provide kind of expectations and information about the process, right? This can be a long process and involved, and not everyone, I don't want anyone to be surprised. And sometimes people are surprised by the fact that they have to go through multiple committees. And so it's just, if for people who go through this process often, that's one thing, but there are some people who are not necessarily professional preservation architects, who they don't come through here very often. So we're trying to create materials, make them more accessible on our website, and perhaps, create a pre-application meeting, at least have that option. One other thing that we've drafted is kind of a staff executive summary for full reviews. So this would be a brief written report for each case that would be part of the packet. Currently, we kind of like throw up a bunch of information online, and it's not really packaged together in a like comprehensive way that always makes sense. And so I think, this is pretty standard practice I've seen in other places, and it's something that, from my understanding, used to be done at some point. And then we kind of moved to verbal overviews. So anyhow, I would like to bring that draft to you and, just get your input on some of these types of things. So I know we've been pretty busy with the reviews, but I do think it would be important to show you before we, start moving in that direction.
Thank you. So in the past, there have been, applicants that are very familiar with the process. They'll fill out, how they've dealt with all these certain things. And, I think it would be really helpful to have maybe a little bit more on the website for people to look at, that why the process involves what it does and why we have the two-step. Because, they're meeting with people, some of whom are professionals, at the advisory board level. They're neighbors, they're people that they're going to be, that have homes in the neighborhood, and why we have a two-step process and how it can be positive instead of negative. You know what I mean? And I think if people have more pre-application information, they'll know more how to prepare. And, so that would be very welcome for people that come in completely unprepared. And, we've always, for years, we and others have been pushing for pre-application meetings and checklists and things like that. And they're out there. I don't know if they're in, files that you have been given access to from previous HPOs, or, if anyone else has those files, I'm more likely to have them because of being on plans review so long. But anyway, I think it's a really good idea to make the process more understandable.
Okay.
Because it's not easy either to build a new home. You know what I mean? Like there's all sorts of things you have to go through, and why that's important, because, and try to couch it in the importance of our historic districts. They're not just pretty places to build infill in, or to change, or to make, for people to understand the characteristics of that. So anyway, that would be great. And so do we have, what are item 7 would be future
Well,
agenda items? What do we, go ahead.
Sorry, I
Go
just
ahead,
had a
Beck.
question with
Go ahead.
that. I mean, would we make it a whole like agenda topic to talk it over, or would you just send us a draft for us to look at our leisure? And then, I mean, I'm just wondering, it seems like when you're ready, it'd be nice to have like just
Okay.
all of us together talking about it, looking it over. But
Yeah.
I know we've
Yeah,
got
I
a lot
think
of cases to
Right.
schedule too.
I'm open to however you all want to handle it. We could send it to you in advance. We could do even a special meeting. I know you have a lot of meetings already, but yeah, open to however you would like to do it. We could fit it into one of your existing meetings, or have kind of like a working session. We'd probably have to notice it, but that's fine.
Yeah. But if you
Yeah.
send us your drafts in advance, we could do some preliminary look at it, and if we had anything that we've seen, what's most useful to us, and to get the applicant to think through what they're doing. I'll have to look at some of those old cases.
Terry,
Sure.
this is Joel. I just want to commend the staff for doing this because I'm actually on this committee because I undertook a project. I had no idea you had to do any of this. And boy, it hits you in the face when you're a homeowner and you say,
Yeah.
why are all these people telling me what the hell I can do with my own property, you know? So I think it's great. And the earlier we get to them, the better, you know?
Yeah.
Good deal. Thanks.
Thank you
Great.
for that feedback.
Anyone else on that? Any other review process issues? I'm sure there are many, but it's getting late and I know people have to leave
There, yeah.
soon. But so what are our future agenda items under item 7?
Sure. So we have 180 North Main. So that's a rehabilitation of a building in the El Presidio that's owned by the Tucson Museum of Art. There are some other projects that will come to you once they're ready. We're just essentially waiting for the plans to be ready. So there's a metal carport in the El Presidio. There's the 724 North 2nd Avenue in West University that you all saw before. That's the home with the ADA, the rehabilitation and ADA upgrades. In later September, there's the All Saints project, which is a affordable housing project in Armory Park that will eventually come to you as well. It's partially HUD funded, so they're going through their consultation process. And then there's an ADU in the Barrio Histórico that will come to you as well.
Okay, thank you. And our next meeting is September 11th. Savannah, do you think you are going to have any recusal needs for any of those cases do they sound familiar, the ones that Desiree mentioned?
I mean, they sound familiar. We've seen that All Saints
Yeah.
one like 5 times, but no, it's no PMM ones. They're all good.
Yeah, and Andrew, you're good too?
Yeah, I'm good.
And Joel and I probably don't have any conflicts.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
So my only potential conflict is that I have a meeting back east that I get there on September 10th, and I need to look at my schedule and see if I'm going to be actually in the hotel able to do a meeting on that Thursday. So if all of you are planning to be there and I can't be there, can Andrew or Savannah chair?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna do everything I can to be there, but just in case.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to go on some architectural tour of historic Raleigh or something, but I can always get back because it's a 3-hour time difference, right? So I'll have to figure all this out. But it wouldn't be the first time I did a meeting from another meeting. So my favorite though is the one I did from Australia.
Yeah.
And it was good though. It was nice and fresh that early in the morning for me. So anyway, well, you guys are great. And anything else before we adjourn? And then you'll be in touch, Desiree, with your agenda thoughts so we can pull this together sooner than later.
Yes, will do.
Yeah, and we're not going to be having a full commission meeting on the 10th. It's going to be moved to the 17th, as I mentioned at the last meeting, but I have to send out a message to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, so okay, so we'll adjourn at 3:25 p.m. and you can stop the recording if you want. And then I was going to ask you, Desiree, just to give me a heads